What's up, guys? It's Jace here. Today we're going to have a discussion, basically a theory, about what's next for One Piece after this break. What's next for One Piece in the upcoming chapters, and basically what's to come because we still haven't got much information as far as the fallout from the reverie. So let's pick up there. In the reverie, the last good information that we got was basically the government in their own way leaking information to Big News Morgans. And in their process of doing that, in that process, they basically got caught by Big News, and he basically let them know that he puts his journalism above his pockets. Yes, he's always about the money, but the money is not the most important thing to him. And in this process, they basically left it very gray as far as what happened to two people. What happened to SABO and what happened to Vivi. So let's delve into that. The last thing we saw from Vivi, which is the easy one, was that she was making friends with Rebecca. She was making friends with Poseidon, the mermaid princess, and she was basically um, fanning, being a fangirl over Luffy and his accomplishments. And they were basically being very open with it. And the last conflict that we saw was basically when Shirahoshi was about to be taken by the celestial dragon, and another celestial dragon basically saved her, and they were taken away to basically help Neptune with his promise that he was trying to bring Fishman Island to the surface. But back to Vivi, she basically wasn't really into much. Like, it wasn't many things that she, I could say, was jumping into that could cause that much damage to be newsworthy. I mean, yes, I'm Sama did have a picture of her, and that was also a gray area because it was left open to her. Okay, what does this mean? Um, I know there's a lot of speculation as far as what could have happened between Vivi and Sabo, but for now, I'm just gonna move on and say, as far as reminding ourselves where we were with Vivi, other than her finding out about Luffy's bounty, she wasn't really into much. It was basically just her fangirling over Luffy, and that was, in hindsight, it. When we move on to Sabo, now this is where it gets different. Sabo, the last thing we saw was that Sabo was furious when he saw the state of his counterpart, Kuma. And we also saw that Sabo was basically being calmed down by Karasu and the rest of his crew, the other leaders of the revolutionaries. And basically, they were telling him that what he was trying to do, like basically, he was in a way, I guess, overreacting and angry, and that the world government would retaliate very big, like very broadly, if he did anything. And that led me to the realization that rescuing Kuma wasn't their goal. Like, what they went there for wasn't to rescue Kuma. Like, I do believe they knew what was happening to Kuma. I do believe they knew where Kuma was. But that short conversation kind of made it clear that they knew the state of Kuma, and they also knew that he wasn't in his right mind. The Kuma, I think it was, if it wasn't Karasu, I think it was one of the other members that basically told Sabo that even if we were to rescue Kuma, he won't be the Kuma that you knew. Basically referring to the fact that a surgery was done on him by Vegapunk to change and alter his being, his structure, and his mind. Therefore, he wasn't in his right mind. They didn't know Kuma anymore. And I think it was hard for Sabo to deal with that. Also, we have to take into consideration that when they were in the Kamabaka Kingdom, him and Dragon actually discussed their plans prior to him going there. They infiltrated Marineford extremely easy, and they got to the Celestial Dragon's area with ease. So, to me, whatever their original plan was, I don't think it had anything to do with Kuma. I think it had more to do with the fact of one, getting intel, and like Sabo said, this was supposed to be their spark of a declaration of war. Stealing Kuma back, okay, I could see that, basically showing the Celestials that, hey, we can get into your area, we can get into your kingdom at ease. But I don't take that as a signal of war, a declaration of war, because they weren't the only ones to break into Mary Jiao. Fisher Tiger broke into Mary Jiao. He freed the slaves. Yes, they were angry at him, but they mostly cared about getting their slaves back. And to be honest, Fisher Tiger died not by the Marines' hands, but he died because he refused a blood transfusion from a human. Um, I think Don Flamingo also went back to Mary Jiao. Like, other people have broken into Mary Jiao. It's not like an impossible feat. And I don't think just breaking into Mary Jiao and stealing a slave, no matter who the slave belongs to, would be a declaration of war. So to me, it would have to be something bigger. I think it would have to be something that would not only piss off the world government, but it will also get all of the other kingdoms that were there at the time on your side. That would be something that would change the tide of the war. And I think what their plan was to shine light on the fact of the existence of Im Sama. That's my theory. I think they were in the process of attempting to let the other kingdoms know that, hey, you're being duped. This is the truth. Yes, there's this seat that no one, as far as you guys are concerned, is supposed to sit on. But there is an actual person that sits on the seat and they run everything. And I think that would have had a bigger impact on the reverie, because now you have all of these kingdoms that have just met and formed this agreement as far as how they were going to carry out business for the next year or so until they had another rev. And basically now you're showing them that all of these years, all of these decades, you were lying to them. It would take the trust from the government, and the biggest thing that it would take from them is power, because they would lose a lot of financial backing. They would lose a lot of territory. And then we got to be honest. These Marines, they recruit from these territories. They got to come from somewhere. They recruited from these territories. They got money from these territories. That's resources that if those people no longer trusted them, they now lose. And that's a big deal. To me, that's a way bigger deal than them just taking Kuma and then running away. Or them taking Kuma, trying to get his mind reversed and leaving. Because what is the cost of one slave in comparison to losing vast resources and vast additional people to help aid your cause of world domination. Like it dwarfs the other. One is way more important. Um, so I don't think Sabo was there for that. And I think when it comes to the gray area, I think the gray area came when Sabo was trying to get Kuma. And of course, this is just my theory, guys, but I honestly believe that Sabo, in his process of saving Kuma, yes, I do think it was easier to, instead of saving Kuma, it was easier to just give Kuma a swift death, kill Kuma. Because one, I don't think with the firepower that was there at Mary Giles that they were gonna get out with the people that they brought. It wasn't a lot of people. I don't think they were gonna get out because I think with the amount of people that they bought, they weren't there for a full scale war. They were not there for a full scale war. That was a stealth force that was there to basically do whatever they were going to do and get in and get out. And in the process of them doing that, Sabo's emotions got caught up in the fact that he saw what they were doing to Kuma. And that led to him jeopardizing their mission. And I think in the process, he still wanted to, he didn't do their mission the way it was intended. But I do think the fact that blood was spilled on their soil, and I'm pretty sure some of their people were taken out, that is going to fulfill the purpose of a declaration of war anyway. I believe Sabo, I don't think he took out one of the admirals, but I do think he injured maybe Green Bull. We saw that Fujitora had a couple scratch marks on it, but I would believe strongly that Green Bull probably took some injuries before he was even shown as far as what he or she looked like. I also think that, and this is crazy, but I think Kuma has no more relevance in the story, so Oda can kill him off. And I do think Sabo was put in a situation to where he can risk Karasu and the other revolutionary members to continue to try to save Kuma, or he could just end Kuma's life. Therefore, he could no longer be a slave. They can no longer treat him badly and use him in that way. Incinerate Kuma, like kill him off, and then leave. And in the process of that, I think, uh, I think he wasn't captured, but I do think he was probably wounded. We can't say with the firepower that was there. Yeah, you had uh, Fujitora and you had Green Bull. We don't know Green Bull's power, but we do know Fujitora's power. And let's be honest, the last time Sabo fought Fujitora, he didn't have control of his devil fruit. Like, he was still learning it. He had just got it that day, that same day. And he was holding his own against somebody who's had that devil fruit power for a long time. We can't throw out Sabo's experience, his technique, and all his wisdom when it comes to battle, his tactics. So now we're showing Sabo going back at Fujitora, someone who he's already fought, with more of a mastery now of his devil fruit. I don't think Fujitora would hinder Sabo much, and I do see that's why he had a lot of injuries. I think the fight was mostly against Sabo and Green Bull, and I think that's where the issue was. Do I think Sabo's captured? No. I don't think anything happened to Sabo as far as him being captured. I think the breaking news was what he did in order to solve the conflict with Kuma. Moving on, the next person is Boa Hancock. That's the next person I want to talk about. And the reason why I want to talk about her is the fact that the last thing we saw about her was that Kobe was en route, or basically right on the coast of her island, in the process of coming to arrest her. because she was one of the Shishibukai, and it was a lot of process as far as the other YouTubers and anime people basically saying that they thought, one of them at least, one of the prominent ones, thought that she would be captured and that she would lose, in essence, um, lose her kingdom. And that got me thinking. That draws me back into my original theory. This is why I say this is going to be titled Part 2. My original theory that I thought that Luffy wouldn't stay in Wano. I don't think Luffy's going to finish his fight at Wano. I honestly think that Luffy is going to fulfill his initial purpose, which is to free Wano of Orochi. And once that's done, honestly, Luffy has no real reason to stay at Wano if Kaido's not there. Big Mom has no reason to stay at Wano if Luffy's not there. What's the one thing that could pull Luffy away from Wano? Boa Hancock and SABO. And I believe that, I don't believe Sabo's captured, but I believe he's injured. And I believe that Green Boy is the one that did the damage, and that Sabo is being cared for, or he's basically away in a separate kingdom. I don't believe Oda's gonna do the same plot concept twice. For Marineford, we had Ace captured. So you're gonna tell me somebody with the Marimara no Mi's gonna get captured twice and held in government custody, and they kept him alive this long? No. If you attacked Marineford or Mary Giles, I think they're executing you on site, on spot, like you're dying right then and there because of just a straight disrespect that you did it. And I think they will openly go out of their way to make an example of you. So no, I don't think Sabo's dead. I don't think he's captured. I think he's hurt. I think he's injured because he acted off of emotion and he wasn't focused. Um, and I think Luffy is gonna catch wind of this. Also, I do think he's going to find out from X Drake that Kobe captured Boa Hancock. I don't think Kobe's going to hurt her. I think he's just going to capture her. And that they're en route to Mary Giles. I think that since Kobe is already communicating with X Drake, I do think that eventually Boa Hancock and Kobe will make their way to Wano, or either they're going to make their way to the second site of the actual fight. And this is why I believe the Rev will culminate into an actual war. You have all the forces joining up. You have Blackbeard, who just got the power of ex Shishibukai. Now, you just got the strongest swordsman now off on the run. Mihawk, he's free to do what he wants now. He's a pirate again. Unless the admiral or two are rolling up at his door, just regular pirates, vice admirals aren't doing anything to Mihawk. So Mihawk's up for the highest bidder. My idea, he's going to join Shanks. And then the other one you have left is Buggy. And that matters is Buggy and Boa. I think Boa now, for protection of her kingdom, which matters more to her, is going to ally with Luffy. And I think that that kingdom now falls under Luffy because, again, it makes sense. He needs territory. I also think that she's going to make her way to Wano. And from Wano, they're going to make their way to the actual site of the fight that's going to happen between Kaido and Luffy and their armies. Because, again, Kaido has made it perfectly clear since way back in Zou and when he was fussing when they were in Whole Cake Island, when he landed on Killer and Kid, he basically said, Joker, you're taking too long. He basically wanted a war that was going to encompass the entire world. Hurry up with his smiles, hurry up with his soldiers. Fighting Luffy and his alliance doesn't do that. You're still missing the Marines, you're still missing the Admirals, you're still missing his main antagonist that encompasses the world. What else will bring them there? Or what else will bring Kaido and Luffy to them? And to me, I think that's where Vivi and that's where SABO come into the fray, because I think Vivi's connection to this is that she knows about one of the weapons, one of the ancient weapons. And I think the entire time while she was in her kingdom, she actually did some digging. She did her research. She's a very smart girl. Her father brought it up, and he probably was killed or assassinated. They probably framed Sabo for it by saying while he and the two admirals were fighting, he was responsible for killing her father. I could see that because Sabo's fighting off of emotion. He's not truly in control of his flames, and the father might have just got nick bombed and died, and they blame Sabo for killing him. Also, I think that would make sense why they tried to hide the fact and get the paper changed that a ancient weapon was revealed at the Rev. I think that would make perfect sense because now that throws the entire conference out of whack, because now these other nations know, hey, that it tips the scale of power. So we don't need this getting out to the world. We got to switch this. We don't need the world knowing what we might have slipped up on or found. We want this power to ourselves because now, hey, if you find an ancient weapon, Kaido's coming, Big Mom's coming, Blackbeard's coming, and Shanks is coming. And I think a war at least out of Blackbeard, Big Mom, Luffy, Kaido, and their crews is an actual war that can dwarf Marineford and actually be hype worthy of everything that we heard about Wano. So I'm gonna stop it there. This video is getting hella long, but thanks guys for listening. This is my second theory update on what I think is gonna happen going forward in Wano and the Rev. Thank you guys for listening. Jace out.